Hello, I'm Melissa Morriss-Olson, author of the recently published book, Ingenious Leadership, Creating Solutions to Wicked Problems in Higher Education, and host of the IngenioUs podcast. In times of unprecedented uncertainty, think global pandemics, financial upheaval, demographic shifts, technological disruption. Some leaders don't just survive, they thrive. They've learned to see chaos not as a threat to be avoided, but as a catalyst for transformation. These leaders have mastered what Danish innovator Uffe Elbæk calls chaos piloting, the ability to embrace complexity while creating within it. Today we explore the two essential habits that separate those who merely manage change from those who design it, embracing negative capability and turning setbacks into sidesteps. The poet John Keats defined negative capability as the ability to thrive in uncertainty, doubt, and ambiguity without frantically reaching for fact and reason. For higher education leaders navigating our rapidly changing landscape, this quality isn't just helpful, it's essential for survival and transformation.
And like a lot of Americans, you sit down at dinner time and you think about your future. And we began to worry about a future for both of us to be at General Motors. And so we decided that someone needed to go back to school because both of us just went straight from high school to the auto industry. And I was just committed to, once I made that move, that I had to be successful and that I had to prepare myself so that I wouldn't have a General Motors pension one day. So it drove me to really make sure I was going to be successful for us. When I went to General Motors, a GM job back then was really, it elevated you to the middle class. And we didn't think we needed to go to college. And we both thought we would retire really early and just fish, which is something we like to do in our pastime. Once I gave that up, I was really, really committed to make sure that I would be successful in whatever career I chose. I'm a strategic thinker. And as a strategic thinker, I'm always creating alternative ways to proceed by quickly putting together relevant patterns and understanding how to solve issues. And so I always see the glass as half full. I quickly think of solutions and alternative patterns to move through.
Parker's approach demonstrates how chaos pilots don't panic when industries shift. They see patterns and possibilities. Her transition from auto worker to a college president shows how strategic thinking can turn disruption into opportunity.
When I first became president, I had a group of people telling me that the first thing I needed to do was to transition our sports to Division I. And I had another group of people telling me the last thing I should ever do is to transition our sports to Division I. I, again, said I'm not going to do anything about athletics without the more holistic approach to a strategic plan. And that did lead us to do some really good work and due diligence to understand what it would take, what the opportunities might be. And it met with real concern about the financial impact of making that transition. But there were also people who were not just skeptical, they were cynical, and they thought a deal had already been done, that we had an invitation to a Division I conference and that I was just going through these motions. And they found out that no, that wasn't the case, and that we had to work hard to earn that invitation. And in our first try, we didn't get there. And the pandemic was upon us. And we explored some other options, but we didn't think they were right for Augustana. And then came the opening. Because we were aspirational, because we believed in our potential, the growth of the city of Sioux Falls being a top-tier Division II athletic program, the opening came to actually bring college hockey at the Division I level to South Dakota. And that was a nugget of information that I received from a trustee, a wise leader in this community that I had, just tucked away from about 3 years prior. And then I came back to it as a strategic pivot. And it was the right program at the right time for where Augustana and Sioux Falls is today. It was differentiated, and everyone knew it was more than athletics. It was for the university and our innovative academic programs. It was for the university and our core liberal arts curriculum and the quality of our graduates. It was for elevating our profile as a university and as a city in the region, nationally. The community impact of this investment is extraordinary.
Hersheth Sandlin shows us that strategic risk-taking isn't about rushing. It's about building consensus, learning from skeptics, and knowing when to act. Her Division I hockey success came not from avoiding opposition, but from listening to it and then finding the right moment to pivot.
What I think I'm really good at is looking at a problem and seeing an end and then figuring out a way to get to that end. One of the things that I like to do every year is to go to an event that or a conference that I've never been to before that might not even be in my industry or segment, because everywhere people are solving problems, and everywhere people are trying to bring teams together to solve problems. And it's universal. And so looking at how other people do that really helps me keep learning. I think that's one of the things that is so engaging to me about higher education, is that you're learning, you're living in higher education, because every day you're teaching somebody something new, you're learning something new. And that learning really energizes me. It keeps me from being discouraged with big, hairy, complicated problems, which I've had several of in the last many years.
Mystic's innovation strategy goes beyond traditional thinking. Her systematic approach to cross-industry learning, attending conferences outside of higher education, for example, demonstrates how innovative leaders draw inspiration from unexpected sources to solve complex problems. Chaos pilots understand that setbacks are not endpoints, they're pivot points. The leaders who thrive have mastered the art of resilience and adaptability, turning every failure into data and every crisis into opportunity for growth.
An administrative job is like jumping over the waves. There's a wave, and there's some small waves, and you can jump over them, and you jump, and you're kind of building up your strength for that one big wave that's going to be really hard, and so you don't get swamped on it. And then that one big wave comes, and you make it. You've made it. But there's still going to be another wave. There's going to be another problem. You can have your greatest success, and you've made that wonderful thing. You've made the capital campaign goal, and you're celebrating, but there's always going to be another wave. And I think kind of having some kind of understanding that, even on super successful days, you go back to the office and somebody, whether it's a student or whether it's an employee or somebody, has done something that you never would have imagined, and it's taking you in a whole different direction. So you have to have that mindset that, I've said the perfect is the enemy of the good. You can't ever assume that everything is going to be great and that, you've had this wonderful success and it's going to last. And the one thing I remember vividly is when I was a dean, and we got this NEH grant, and it was so exciting because it was the first grant we'd gotten from NEH, and it was a substantial grant for us at McMurray. And I said, give us one day, to enjoy this, and don't ask us how it's going to work and all this kind of stuff. And we didn't make it 1 hour.
Harper's wave metaphor captures the essence of leadership resilience. She understands that challenges are constant, but so is the opportunity to build strength and take on bigger waves. This mindset transforms setbacks from defeats into training sessions.
And so we had to do something significantly to save the institution. We didn't just need a plan. We needed to make sure that we had trust transparency, truth telling. We had come up with this plan financially trying to mitigate some of the issues that we're having, the deficits. And the faculty said, we would like to be involved in this decision. I literally gave them the books and said, if you can come up with a better plan than what we've come up with as a leadership team, I promise you, I will listen to you. Right? You have my guarantee. And so I literally gave them, they had a forensic accountant and all these different people to go through their books, the business faculty to look at it. And they came back and said, no, we understand. I said, ask me any questions you want. We had union as well, because it was a unionized faculty. I said, ask me any questions, because sometimes the lawyers don't want the president in the room. I'm like, no, I'm not that president. I'm not scared of faculty. They're my people. I went through the ranks of being a faculty member, right? And they knew we were doing the right thing. So I engaged the faculty, I engaged the alumni, the students, community members in every step of the process. And I reminded them that this is not going to be the end of our story. I don't have all the answers, but I try to bring the right people around me. And that's what I would tell anyone. Make sure you have the right people, not yes people, not people to tell you all the great and wonderful things about who you are, but people that will be honest and tell you the truth, right? And set you up for success. And that's been really, really important to me, to be able to do that, to make sure I have that surrounding me, making me look good, right? But really making all of us look good because we did it together as a team. And so that's what I would say. Surround yourself with the right people.
Evans demonstrates radical vulnerability in leadership. When facing institutional crisis, she didn't hoard information, she shared it completely. This transparency transformed potential opposition into collaborative problem solving and ultimately saved her institution.
And the questions are, have I left the institution in a better position than I found it? Have I done no harm? And can I leave whole? That's the important piece, because I find too many people, when they leave someplace, there's nothing left in them. And I did not want to be in that position. And so I started making a list of things I wanted to get accomplished in my last 2-3 years of the college, and always checking in with myself to make sure I'm feeling okay, right? One of my mentors, when I got the interview for St. Mary's College, and I called him up and I says, I got this interview and I'm just scared to death. I don't know what I've done applying for this thing. And he said, you're going to be an excellent president, but you have to understand it is going to be the hardest job you've ever had in your life. And presidents die either from suicide or stress-related illnesses. Do not let that happen to you. So it was very important to me that I left whole, and that I felt that I have to leave the institution in a great position, but I have to take care of myself. There are many leaders who are introverts, but they don't want the world to know that they're introverts. I know when I first started as president, and I was like, oh my goodness, you got to talk to people all the time. What in the world am I going to do? And I'd be at these receptions and there are all these people, they want to talk to you and this, that. But I would, after 45 minutes or so, disappear. And the staff would get nervous. They're like, where is she? And I'd just be off in the bathroom or a corner somewhere with my quiet space.
Yeah.
And after about 15 minutes, I get my energy back and I'm back doing it. First semester every year is the hardest semester. I take one weekend away every month first semester and go somewhere 1 hour a day. I like to sit in my office by myself and eat my lunch. And I play backgammon on my computer over lunch. That is my quiet time, just reset time. And I think that does wonders. Whenever I get frustrated, I stop and play backgammon.
Jordan's approach to self-care isn't optional, it's strategic. Her systematic renewal practices and 3 retirement questions demonstrate how sustainable leaders monitor their own capacity as carefully as they monitor institutional health. The leaders we've heard from today don't fear chaos, they harness it. They've learned that uncertainty is not a problem to be solved, but a condition to be navigated with skill, creativity, and resilience. As Mark Lombardi observes, the capacity for absorbing and leveraging the opportunity found in chaos rests squarely on the shoulders of the president. The greatest impediment to innovation isn't external challenges, it's leadership that clings to old assumptions. These chaos pilots have mastered the art of leading in wicked times by embracing negative capability and turning setbacks into sidesteps. They see crisis as catalyst, uncertainty as opportunity, and ambiguity as a space for innovation. So I leave you with these questions to ponder. Where am I trying to control what can't be controlled? How might my current crisis actually be an opportunity in disguise? What experiment could I start today that might fail, but could also transform everything? How am I modeling resilience and growth for my community? The future of higher education won't be built by leaders who avoid chaos. It'll be shaped by those who learn to pilot through it. Navigate with purpose, lead through uncertainty, pilot with courage.